Hi guys, Kevin Lee Jacobs here. I have a couple of delicious recipes to share with you today. I'm making limoncello risotto and serving it as a scrumptious base for some salmon fillets. The salmon is cloaked in Dijon mustard and crowned with herbed breadcrumbs. Meanwhile, the limoncello risotto is unconscionably delicious. It's creamy without cream and so luscious and lemony you'll want to eat it all day, every day. You might like to make the same meal for Valentine's Day or for some other romantic occasion. Let's start with our limoncello risotto. Behind me on the stove, I have 1 quart of chicken stock heating, and right in front of me, I'm heating a Dutch oven, just over medium heat. And what we do is put 1 tablespoon of butter in the pot, plus 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil or some other vegetable oil. And when the butter melts, we add either 1 shallot, or in this case, 1/2 of a small diced onion. If you're using a shallot, you have to dice that too. And we want to saute the onions just until they turn translucent. Risotto actually takes a good 20 to 30 minutes to make, and there is a lot of stirring. And what we're doing is we're going to add arborio rice to our onions, and then we're going to ladle, 1 ladle at a time, some hot chicken stock into the rice. This way the rice will release its starches and create its own sauce. In goes the arborio rice. And we want to stir the rice, for about a minute, just until it releases a kind of toasted aroma. Make sure that the rice doesn't burn. I actually made this dish last Sunday, and Mr. Fox and I thought it was one of the best meals we'd ever tasted. Better than anything we'd ever ordered at a restaurant in Europe or the United States. We both gave it 5 stars. My rice is nicely aromatic, so now I'm adding 1/4 cup of Sauvignon Blanc. It's a nice fruity dry white wine, and 1/4 of limoncello. And let me show you the limoncello. I'm using this Caravella brand. It's excellent. So that's 1/4 cup of white wine and 1/4 cup of limoncello. And you stir this into the rice just until it's absorbed. And again, you want to keep stirring constantly to make sure that the rice doesn't scorch. As you can see, the wine and the limoncello has been absorbed, so now we have to grab a ladle and our hot chicken stock, and we just add 1 ladle at a time. And again, we stir and stir to make sure the rice doesn't scorch. And we continue to stir until this first addition of chicken stock is fully absorbed. So the first addition of stock is now absorbed. And can you see that this is already becoming very creamy? So then we add another ladle, this is a 1/2 cup ladle, of more chicken stock, and we do the same thing, keep stirring until the stock is absorbed. Making risotto is really a therapeutic exercise. It's home cooking at its best. And here, we are now ready for yet another addition of chicken stock. Stir, stir, stir. If your right hand gets tired, you can always stir with your left hand. Now I'm going to add the last addition of chicken stock and stir until it's all absorbed. And by the way, I wish you could smell this. The limoncello imparts such a beautiful lemon aroma. This is going to be really delicious. When the last addition of stock is absorbed, grab a spoon and quickly taste a few grains. If they taste raw, you'll need to add a little more wine, a little more limoncello, just to soften up the grains. The grains should have texture, but they should not taste raw. Turning the heat off, because this looks and tastes just as it should. So to stop the cooking, you add 2 tablespoons of butter. Stir that in until it melts. It's such a relief when I turn off this induction burner and the fan goes off. Silence. So now I'm going to add the zest of 1 lemon, just to really punch up the lemon flavor. Stir that in, then add a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Stir it in, then add a nice pinch of kosher salt. Don't add too much, you can always add more later. Stir it in, and finally add, about 1 tablespoon of minced parsley. Minced parsley will add a little bit of a peppery taste and give it a gorgeous color. I think our risotto is good to go. Just a quick little taste. Perfect. I'm going to cover the pot, set this aside for just a few minutes while we make the salmon fillets. So what I have here are a couple of salmon fillets. These are about 6 ounces and they have the skin on, although you can certainly use fillets with the skin off if you prefer. And take some Dijon mustard and put a dollop, that's about 1 tablespoon of the Dijon on each fillet, or fillet, as Julia Child liked to say, and spread it out. The mustard is going to act as a glue for some seasoned and herb breadcrumbs. Then I'm going to move this aside and prepare the breadcrumb topping. So my husband tries to avoid gluten, so I'm using this 4C seasoned gluten-free dried breadcrumbs. And I'm going to add some parsley to them. So using 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs. If you're using 4 fillets, you'd want to double this recipe. And I'm going to add, about 1 tablespoon of minced fresh parsley. And hang on while I get a fork. Then you add a little drizzle of olive oil, just enough to moisten the breadcrumbs. I probably used 1 teaspoon of olive oil. Perfect. You could add garlic to this too if you'd like. Naturally, I forgot to tell you to salt and pepper the fillets before you added the mustard, but that's okay. I'm going to add it now, right on top of the mustard. Just a little sprinkling of kosher salt and a few grinds of black pepper. Then we're ready to add the breadcrumbs. And my spoon. Put the breadcrumbs on top. And then with your impeccably clean fingers, just press the breadcrumbs into the mustard. These look really pretty already. Then we're ready to sear these suckers. These fillets are not only going to be seared quickly, but they're then going to be baked briefly. So preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Then throw some butter in a hot skillet. Add a little olive oil, not much. When the butter melts, add the salmon, skin side down. And you want this to sear for just a minute or so that the bottom of the fillets become crispy. Then turn the heat off. Did I tell you to use a cast iron or other heat-proof skillet? Probably not. So use a cast iron skillet or other heat-proof skillet, because at this point, you're going to put the skillet into the preheated 425-degree oven for 5 to 7 minutes. And our salmon is ready. So let's assemble this piece of heaven. So then, ladle some of this absolutely exquisite risotto onto a couple of plates. Add the salmon Dijon with its beautiful crisp breadcrumb topping, and garnish it with a wedge of lemon, which you could put on top, or I think I'm going to put on the side. And do the same with the other plate. And by the way, you can double this recipe. You could certainly use 4 salmon fillets if you're serving 4 people. And then let's taste. First, the risotto. Creamy, excellent texture, and super luscious and lemony. Then the salmon. Every bit as delicious as the risotto. I think you'll really love the Dijon mustard and the seasoned breadcrumb topping with the added parsley. Promise me you'll make this dish someday. Again, it's perfect for any romantic occasion or any non-romantic occasion even. I'm going to light a fire in the dining room fireplace and then go in and finish this meal. Meantime, I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please stay tuned. Next week, I'll have another delicious recipe for you. Bye for now.